everyone, it's Becky with Design Bundles, and we are here today to give you a little tutorial in Silhouette Studio. So, using split monograms is a very versatile way to create custom items. And when we're talking about monograms, a lot of times we're talking about fonts. Now, there are split monogram letter fonts available for you to purchase. That's absolutely true, and it's a real quick way to finish a project in no time. But what we're going to do today is teach you how to create your own. Now, I'm going to show you two different ways because I want to talk about using fonts like this one, Zen Outline. I really like it, so I've already added it to my cart and we are going to purchase it today. But then with Father's Day right around the corner, I really wanted to show you how to use different shapes to create different types of split monogram designs that are more versatile than a traditional letter. So I found these tools on Design Bundles, and we are going to go ahead and purchase that clip art file also. So let's proceed with checkout now. Okay, and you will see, because I've selected my font from Font Bundles and my design from Design Bundles, everything is right here in one easy checkout. I really like that. I also have my Plus member discount. Super awesome to have that too. So I'll just hit Continue to Payment. You know me, if you've watched any of my tutorials before, I love using my store credit. So I will go ahead and proceed with that. And I can just go to download my products. That takes me to my purchases menu. I will go ahead and I'm going to download the OTF file. And then I will also go ahead and download my tools zipped folder. Now my tools zipped folder is going to have to be unzipped, so I'll go ahead and open that one, choose extract all because I'm on a PC, and let that extract into my downloads folder. And now it's time to install my font. The easiest way, now this did not come in a zipped folder, but the easiest way is to open that file. Again, I'm on a PC. I'll just click install up here. Now remember, in Silhouette Studio, what that means is that we will need to restart our software if it was open at the time that we performed the install. And what that does, that allows Silhouette Studio to import the new font that is now on my computer. Now, a little tip that I do want to share with you, if you install a font and for some reason it does not pull over into Silhouette Studio, that's been happening sometimes. An easy way to fix that is that you can come back to your downloads folder where you downloaded that font to, and you can simply right-click and click Install for all users, and that seems to fix the problem. Once we're in Silhouette Studio, our font should already be here, so let's go ahead and proceed with the quick and easy way to make a split letter monogram. I do want to start with my first letter. Let's say we'll just use a B for Becky. I'm going to make this larger. And just because I'm a visual person, I'm going to fill in my design and fill in or change my line color to transparent. I believe the bigger the better to start out with. And let's talk about where we want our name, whatever text you're going to put through the middle. Just type out Becky. And I do not want the same font. Let's choose something fun and quirky. Here we go. We'll use the Moonchild caps. Now I'm going to fill this in with a contrasting color. I will choose red. And I can put this design anywhere I want. I do typically want it to be the same or a similar size as my font, or my letter rather. Okay, and I can put it in the middle, I can put it down at the bottom, whatever works for me. I'm going to go a little of both. I don't want it completely in the middle, but having it not completely cover the bottom part of the B helps to make that a little bit more visible. Okay, now I will come to my left and I'm going to draw a rectangle. And I want my rectangle to be at least larger than my text, but I also don't want it super large on the sides. And that'll make sense in just a minute. Okay, now we are going to move this just for the moment. We just wanted to use it to make sure that we were going large enough. And just for the ease of things, I'm going to change this to a softer color. There we go. Now, what I want to do, I use some shortcuts. So you might want to take notes on this, or you can remember that these options are also in your replicate panel over here. You can do the mirror and the duplicate by clicking these icons. If you want to use the shortcuts like I do, you can simply use, if you're on a PC, hold down your Control and use the up directional arrow, and that will give you a duplicate rectangle directly above the one that we already drew. Now it's exactly the same, but what I want to do is I'm going to use my handle and I want to make this a little thinner. Okay, so we have the original rectangle that's red, and so that you can tell the difference, I'm going to change this rectangle to blue. Okay, one blue rectangle, one larger red rectangle. And then again, I'm going to use the arrows on my keyboard and slide that rectangle down and see how it straddles the top of the red rectangle. And then here, we'll use one of these. We will duplicate below. And again, I'm using the arrows on my keyboard to move this down. And now it straddles this line. So I have my original rectangle in the middle and my two blue smaller rectangles on each side, the top and the bottom. And that'll make more sense in a moment. Now, if you're not familiar with using a drag box is when you hold down your mouse key to select more than one item in Silhouette Studio. So I'm going to use my drag box and I'm going to come in here. I will select both of those letters. Now I will come to my modify panel on the right hand side and simply choose subtract. And what that does, it subtracts out the middle of my letter B. Now you do want to be aware of any of these little stragglers. You can have that sometimes, so we can just delete that out. That's not a small enough detail that we'll miss it. Now, you may be asking yourself, what are we going to do with the blue rectangles? Well, those are now going to form the border of where our text will go to give us a clean break between our letter and the text. So what I'll do is, again, use my drag box, and then I will simply either right-click and choose Weld, or in my Modify panel, I can choose Weld. And that was the reason, let's show that again, that was the reason that we wanted to straddle the line of that red rectangle, because now we know that these blue rectangles, not only are they identical and spaced identically with in regard to evenness, okay? See my crosshairs, how it shows, because I use the directional arrows on my keyboard to move it down instead of using it freehand, it kept it in the same vertical alignment. So now all I have to do is select them and choose Weld. Now it does weld them into two different groups, so I do want to group those together. And now if I simply replace my text, I have a really easy split letter monogram. So we're going to apply those same principles to a shape. I'm going to File and Merge, because I'm staying within the same working area, and I will simply go to my Downloads folder because that is where my tools are. Now I'm going to go ahead and use the SVG, and these are all the tools that we were given with that bundle that we purchased. I will ungroup them so that I can simply select the tools that I need. So for the design that I have in mind, I need, I definitely want a wrench and definitely want a hammer. I will also choose the saw. How about, do we have a screwdriver? This guy right here. And I think that'll be good for now. I don't think, yeah, that'll be good for now. We can delete the rest of those. So now these are the shapes that we have to work with. And I can simply line them up. This one we'll want to rotate. I came over here to my transform panel. Rotate is this middle icon here. And I can choose whichever way I want this to face. I'm going to flip it horizontally. And I do want them to have a cohesive feel, so I'll make them similar in size. They don't have to be exact, but similar is good. And if I'm worried about the alignment, I can, still in my transform panel, choose the vertical alignment, and I can also choose the spacing down here to make sure that they're spaced evenly. Now, I'm not as crazy about that. I think that because it's going from the edge to edge of each of these, and it makes the hammer over here feel left out. And we don't want him to feel left out. I'm going to switch these two. I don't like the wrench being on the end because it's the tallest. So I will redo my vertical alignment. Okay. So with those in place, we are going to go ahead and group them together. Now I used the shortcut on my keyboard, Control G, but don't forget that you can control group and ungroup with your shortcut menu. And you can also control group and ungroup with these icons up here at the top. Now, I'm also going to change these to a softer color. And the text that we want to do, you know what, in honor of Father's Day, let's do #1 Dad. We'll change this to a manly font. And I do want that to be all caps. So let's go ahead and we'll fill this with red also to give us a visual and change that line color to transparent. And what I want to do, let me show you the easiest way to do this. Once I know that that is the font I want to use, I can right click and choose Convert to Path. And that solidifies my text into a shape instead of a text. I can no longer edit this. It is now registered with Silhouette Studio as a shape. But what that does is it gives me accurate sizing. So I can come back to the transform panel, and the second icon is scale, and I can see that my tools in the background are 9.909 inches wide. So now I can make my font 9.909 inches wide to see that they are exact. And I can use the align tool to center align them. Okay, so then what I want to do, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to draw our rectangle. You want it to be big enough for your text, but you also only want it to be a little larger on the sides. Move our text out of the way. Let's zoom in just a little. We will create a duplicate and smush it down. If you want to, I'll do this to show you guys. You don't have to change the line color. And I'll create my duplicate. Remember, I used Control down. So now I'm back to my 3 rectangles, my red original rectangle that fit around my text, and my 2 new blue rectangles. Now I'm using my drag box. I'm only touching the red rectangle and my shape. So that means I am not touching my 2 blue rectangles. You can now come to my modify panel and choose subtract, and that will subtract out the middle. So now I have all my pieces and my blue rectangles. Make sure that I select them all with my drag box, right click, and weld. Now it is 2 separate pieces still, so I will simply choose group up here at the top, and then I can bring my text back down to fit in there. I'm going to scrunch that up just a tad. And if I want to get perfect alignment, because I aligned those ahead of time, I can use the center to page. So now I would be able to put this on anything. If you don't want number 1 dad, that's fine. You can put dad, papa, grandpa, whatever you want to do. Now that you have created this main part, you can replace the text anytime you want. And you can use any font. Now that is going back to my Zen font because that's what I started with. But I can use any font that I feel goes best with that design. That's a cute one. There we go. But I would want to make it feel like it fit the area. Grandpa. Okay, so you can repeat this with any type of design. You can use multiple shapes like we did here. Back to school is just around the corner. This would be super easy to do with a pencil or an apple or anything that you feel represents teacher projects. And it's really easy to cut once you come over to the send panel. Now remember, these were SVG files, so we don't have to trace those. We just have to turn on our cut lines. But I would be able to either cut these out of the same color, or I can move grandpa off to the side, cut these shapes, move them off to the side, and come back and cut grandpa. Okay, completely up to you, however you want to work that out. And there we go. So really easy, really simple. Just remember, you're going to need to use those duplicate icons over here under your replicate panel. That's the easiest way to get those rectangles. And just a refresher, here are your rectangles over here on the left-hand side. So we're going to import our shapes or our text, whichever way, draw our rectangles, duplicate, and modify. Those are our 3 areas that we're focusing on. So if you have any questions about that or any of the process that we used in this video, please feel free to put your questions or comments down there at the bottom. And we do regularly check our comments and make sure that we come back and answer your questions. And of course, we have tons of great videos planned for you. So make sure you subscribe to the channel or at least come back and check regularly to see what we've been up to and all the new awesome things that we have to show you guys. Thanks again for joining me today. I really appreciate it, and we'll see you guys again soon. Thanks.